Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Today, we're going to be talking about how to speak English confidently. So, I know that a lot of you would like to speak with confidence, which is only normal. And in this video lesson, I'll be sharing with you some tips to help you improve your confidence speaking in English. Now, if this is the first time that you've joined one of my live streams, thank you for being here. My name is Adriana from EnglishTeacherAdriana.com. You will find all the details about my online lessons, about other resources to help you improve your level of English in the description below this video. Now, I see a lot of you are joining us from different parts of the world. Thank you very much for taking the time to join today's live stream. Guys, if you are watching, feel free to hit that like button. It does support my channel, and also let me know that you like this content. Don't like this video lesson, please also do tell me, hit that dislike button so that I do know whether you like or you don't like these videos. Also, friends, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so that you get the latest lessons that I post here on my channel. Now, this question I've been asked many times on Instagram. For those of you who know, this video is a part of the Ask Adriana series I am running here on YouTube, answering your questions you are asking me on Instagram. Again, if you're not following me on Instagram, you will find the link to my profile in the description below this video. So I know that a lot of you really have a lot of fear because maybe you forget words, you forget grammar, you just go blank, you keep translating from your native language to English, and you feel that you can't speak English confidently. This is normal. The tips that I'll be sharing throughout this lesson, I've used them. I'm still using them to speak in my second language, which is the Croatian language. I do teach them in my training programs, and I do recommend that you use them on a regular basis. Look, a lot of these tips we'll be going through, it's all about the way you think. It's all in here. So it is possible to speak English confidently, and we will be going through this exactly now. Okay, before I do go through the tips, I would like to hear from you guys. Tell me in the chat if you are watching this live stream, or tell me in the comments if you are watching the replay. What is your biggest fear speaking in English? So what are you scared of? What is your biggest fear when speaking in English? Everybody's scared of something, okay? So maybe you're scared of misusing the wrong word. Maybe you're scared about pronunciation. Maybe you're scared that you're going to use grammar incorrectly. What exactly are you scared about when you go to speak in English? Okay, so I do want to hear from you. Do tell me in the chat. It would be lovely to hear from you. Also, if you are watching the replay, I am trying my very best to answer all of your comments and questions in the comments below my videos. So feel free to join the discussion below if you are watching the replay. Now, regardless of your fear, I know that a lot of you have been saying pronunciation, using the wrong words, sometimes even that you may sound silly and you may not sound so smart in English. This is normal. English is your second language. You can, well, the good thing is that you can improve. And if you are making mistakes at the moment, we always learn from our mistakes, and there is room for improvements. Now, the first thing that I would like you to think about before you focus too much on your fears and why it is that you feel scared to speak in English is I want you to try to think that, okay, think about what is it that's stopping you from speaking in English? What are your limitations? So that question I asked you, what is your biggest fear when speaking in English? These are your limitations, your restrictions, why you feel you can't speak confidently. So in tip 1, basically, I want you to push through. So consistently try to work through, to push through these limitations, these beliefs that you have created. So I see a few comments coming through in the chat roll that MH Piero says, okay, I'm scared that I'm confusing grammar tenses. Fabia says pronunciation. Loie says getting confused when I talk with friends. These are your limitations. These are your restrictions. So maybe in the past, you've used the wrong grammar tense and somebody's laughed at you. Maybe sometimes you mispronounced a word and maybe the person didn't understand what it is that you were saying. Maybe, Loie, at times you got confused and then you just got shy and you just wanted to, I don't know, go somewhere and hide. But these are bad memories in the past. You should try to push yourself and also to push through those limitations. So think about it when you were a child. Maybe when you were a child, you maybe got burnt. You're not going to touch fire again. But maybe you touched the TV as a child and your mother just slightly hit your hand. Okay, I know that's child abuse, but anyway, that's a different topic, whatever. But maybe your mother, she hit your hand just really slightly, or maybe when you touched the TV, you fell. And then that's maybe a memory that you saved in your brain saying that, okay, so if I touch TV, something bad is going to happen. But you can change this memory. It's not the greatest example, but it's an example. A similar example, so if you maybe spoke to somebody, you used the wrong grammar tense, if you used the wrong word, if you mispronounced a word, it's a memory in the past. You can change this memory if you are constantly working on improving that mistake and changing that memory. So, for example, if you're consistently worried about your grammar, that you're using it incorrectly, try to get more confident using grammar in spoken form. You can do this by learning the grammar rules, going through, completing exercises, focusing on application of grammar in spoken form to avoid you really misusing grammar in the future. If you're scared about your pronunciation, what you can do is push through this limitation by shadowing more, repeating after English speakers, really focusing on those key, maybe the sounds that you really struggle with. Keep practicing and practicing and practicing to improve your pronunciation. It does require you to do something, okay? So notice here, key friends, that you have to identify your limitation and consistently work on it. So work on building this so that it doesn't become a limitation in the long term. Now, so also what I do, this is my next tip, second tip, is that I don't want you to confuse maybe something that happened in the past with a fact. So remember I said that maybe you misused a grammar point. Maybe you pronounced a word incorrectly. This does not mean that you are bad at grammar. This does not mean that you are bad at pronouncing words, pronunciation. It doesn't mean that you cannot speak English confidently. It just means that you maybe are struggling to pronounce some words in English and you need to improve on this. Or maybe if you misused a grammar point, it doesn't mean that you don't know English grammar. For heaven's sake, I've probably made a lot of grammar mistakes in this video. I've also probably misused some words. It's normal. Native English speakers make mistakes. It's not a fact that I don't know grammar or I don't know vocabulary, but maybe you can improve on this. Not maybe, most likely. So try not to confuse your memory with facts, okay? It is a fact that you can speak English fluently. It is a fact that you can learn English grammar. It is a fact that you can learn and improve your vocabulary, but don't let your memories in the past, so bad experiences, stop you from doing the things to enable you to improve your level of English and to speak English confidently. Okay, so the next thing that I want you to go through is the third tip. Third tip is to learn to talk to yourself. So memories in the past, pushing through your memories, your limitations and your restrictions, it's hard, okay? So you are doing a lot, you are working a lot, but you do need to remind yourself, to speak regularly, to practice, to overcome this fear. And the only way to do this is to, remind yourself and talk to yourself. Now, you can be talking to yourself out loud. You can be making mental notes. You can be writing this down in your planner, in your diary. Basically, talk to yourself in a positive way. So if you do want to be confident, if you do want to speak in English, be positive, first of all, and talk to yourself in a positive way. So, for example, tell yourself those limitations that we went through at the beginning of this lesson. I did ask you, and I'm still asking you to tell me in the chat roll if you are joining or in the comments below this video, The question was, it is a very important question for today's video, what is your biggest fear when speaking in English? Understand that this is a limitation. So talk to yourself and tell yourself, it is grammar. I will improve my English grammar skills. If it is that I forget words, I will learn 10 words today to improve my vocabulary. Or if it's maybe 2 words that you're confusing when you're using in English and you always confuse them when you're speaking in English, then make it a mental note and say, I will learn how to effectively use these 2 words when speaking today, okay? Now, talking to yourself, it does seem crazy, but it does work, okay? A lot of people do it. I do it. You can do it anywhere. You can do it in front of a mirror. You can do it by yourself. You can do it out in public, but it may seem a little bit strange. Basically, talk to yourself wherever you feel comfortable, and talk to yourself in a nice way, because I don't know about you guys, but you probably want to be treated nicely. So if you want to be treated nicely, you should also talk to yourself in a nice manner. Sort of makes sense, huh? Okay, so some people are saying that I am speaking very, very fast in this live stream. Now, this is for intermediate to advanced English learners. I do have slower lessons on my YouTube channel, but I am trying to just speak naturally throughout this live stream so that you get adjusted a little bit to different accents, different speeds, different vocabulary, and improve your level of English. It will help you to speak confidently, because if you want to have natural conversations, you have to understand when people speak fast, when they speak slow, so that you can improve and become more confident. Now, the fourth tip is, to simply be positive. So I did talk about this in third tip, that you want to talk to yourself in a positive way, but you're not going to be able to speak English confidently if you're not positive. You have to think positively to be able to achieve your goals. It will be a lot more easier for you to even make an action plan, to set up daily goals, weekly goals, long-term goals to achieve and to pretty much do exactly what you need to do to improve your speaking skills. But if you go about it in a negative manner, if you're thinking negatively, you're not going to want to do this realistically. So if you don't like something, if you don't like a movie, most likely you're not going to watch it. Don't like a book, you're not going to watch it. If you don't like a person, you won't want to look at them or most likely even speak to them. Same thing goes with yourself and with learning English and improving your ability to speak English confidently. You do have to think positively to pretty much overcome the negativity that you have, which is stopping you from speaking English confidently. So I did go through this a little bit in tips 2 and 3. Basically, say to yourself, I can remember English words. I will remember 5 words today. I will listen to English conversations to better understand native English speakers. I will shadow today to better understand. I will practice my pronunciation by watching this video lesson. Basically, think positive. Also, it is good, instead of always thinking negatively, I have said this a lot in my video lessons as well, I always say try to smile, okay? So before you do go to maybe have a job interview, if you're going for a job interview, if you're maybe taking the IELTS exam tomorrow, if you're maybe, I don't know, having a conversation online or offline, you're meeting somebody new, try to smile before you begin that conversation. You'd be surprised at how that smile will really change your tone or change the atmosphere, and you'll probably, most likely you'll enjoy that conversation a lot more than if you went in with a positive mindset, and just a simple smile can change your mindset. It has changed my mindsets when I've gone for job interviews in Croatian, when I've had to speak to people, when I've spoken to people online, offline, etc. So a simple smile really can change the way you perceive that situation and help you to speak more confidently in English in that situation. Now, these tips that I've shared before, a lot about mindset, a lot about thinking about your brain and how you perceive why you can't speak English confidently. But really, for you to be able to speak English confidently, you really do have to do something new, okay? So you have to go out there, you have to be doing something that you find scary, Okay, so let me explain this a little bit more. If you really don't like to speak to native English speakers, or you really don't like speaking in English, but you want to speak English confidently, you are going to have to speak to people in English. Look, you can't speak English confidently if you don't speak to other people, but you have this fear. Pretty much, basically, all you need to be doing is find somebody, an English speaker, and speak to them. You are going to feel anxious. You're going to feel nervous. It's not going to be comfortable at all, but you are going to have to face your fears. Now, when I say face your fears, what I mean is that you just pretty much have to do it. If you want to speak to people, go out, you can go outside, or you can find somebody online and try speaking every single day. Now, if you do feel that you're going to misuse a grammatical structure when you are speaking in a conversation, have more conversations in English, misuse grammar, use the wrong grammatical structure, but try to see if that person if they can understand you. If they can't understand you, ask them for feedback. And then what you can do is, if you have made a mistake, identify a mistake and work on that mistake so that you can reduce the amount of times you make that mistake in the future. And you will see that your confidence will improve. Okay, so basically, if you maybe have a fear of holding presentations in English, find an English-speaking club. Find good examples are Toastmaster, Meetup.com. Regardless where you're living in the world, I'm living in Zagreb at the moment. I know there's a lot of international people living in Zagreb. They're communicating, interacting in English. And you could join such events to basically overcome your fear of speaking in English, speaking in public, meeting new people. But you do have to face your fear and actually go there, do that, meet people and speak. It's that simple. Okay, I can see that a lot of people are joining. Thank you for joining in the comments below in this chat roll, top chat, whatever. Okay, anyway, clearly confused. But I will be going through some questions towards the end. I do want to go through these tips now. So we were at tip 4, basically to overcome your fear, but also what I want you to do, tip 5 that was, sorry, to face your fear. Now, I did mention a lot of suggestions, a lot of things that you could do, but you really have to be curious. Now, if you're curious, it means that you're interested. You're interested in everything. So usually children are curious. You know, when a child is about 3 to 4 years old, they're like, Mom, Dad, what's this? What's that? Why does a cat meow? Why does a cat bark, etc.? So these children are curious, asking questions, they're looking, they're touching, they're seeing, they're doing, etc. This is a saying that you should apply the same techniques and do the same things children do when learning English. Be curious. Think about, okay, why is it like that? How is it like that? What can I learn from that? Be curious about different groups and about different people, about different movies, about different films, about maybe if you're applying for IELTS, about different people, how they're speaking, interacting, ask questions. And this will get you thinking. It will get you thinking about, okay, so what is that person doing or saying, and how are they speaking more confidently than me? Okay, what do I need to do to be able to speak like them? Do I need to maybe speak more? Do I need to focus on grammar? Do I need to learn more vocabulary? Do I need to listen to more conversations? Do I need to maybe do more public speaking to overcome that fear? Be curious, and it will help you to simply grow and develop as a person. This is a great point to be talking about also professionally, but also in your language learning journey and also speaking English confidently. But it is important to be consistently asking questions so that you are just simply motivated. It's not also boring and just monotonous, always learning and improving your speaking skills. Now, also, it is important to overcome self-doubt. So the first point that we've gone through, the question that I asked you was, okay, so what is your biggest fear when speaking in English? So it is very important. I have gone through this before. This is a restriction. It's a limitation. Whatever is stopping you, try to reword this. Instead of saying, I can't speak English because I forget words, make it a positive sentence and try to also create a goal from this sentence so that you just stop doubting yourself, doubting that maybe you don't know words. Because if you are watching this video lesson and you can understand 60 to 80% of what I'm saying, again, I'm speaking very, very fast. Yes, I do understand this, but with good reason for you to just improve your listening skills, hear pronunciation and hear natural English, but also learn something at the same time. So there is hope. There is hope for you to improve, but you do have to stay consistent. Okay, so we've gone through a few tips to help you speak English confidently. Please do use these tips. Remember to be using them on a regular basis. Also, these tips will help you just simply be confident in anything that you do. You could apply these tips holding a presentation, if you're going holding presentation, changing your career, if you're, I don't know, whatever you want to do, moving abroad, basically whatever it is that you want to do and accomplish in life. Now, I do want to go through some questions in the chat. If you are watching live, we'll be answering some of your questions now. Also, if you are watching the replay, remember that I am trying my very best to answer your questions in the comments below this video. So do join the discussion, answer the question, and let's go. Okay. So Alda says, I watch Ancient Aliens all the time and copied from them pronunciation of many words. So someone else did the same, but another TV show. What do you mean, Alda, by Ancient Aliens? I'm really confused by this term here, Ancient Aliens. Please explain. Astronomy Brazil, nice to see you here. Thank you. Thank you, Astronomy Brazil, for joining. I know that you're a regular subscriber and follower. There should be focus on the receptive skills, reading and listening. Okay, Shamsan says, interesting point. So Shamsan says there should be a focus on receptive skills such as reading and listening. So this is these are just some tips to help you change the way you perceive speaking in English, and also some tips to help you stay consistent. Of course, when learning, you should be reading, writing, speaking, listening, and working on building your vocabulary and grammar at the same time. This goes without a doubt. These tips shared in this video lesson are here more for motivational. And for those of you, I know that many of you really struggle to stay consistent. And also maybe you do know a lot of words and grammar, but when it does come to speaking in English, just get stuck, which is normal, okay? So this is just a little bit more just encouragement, how to stay consistent and positive. All right. So, sorry, I don't understand Cyrillic, but Cyrillic letters says read and read and read. Reading is great practice for improving English skills. Yes, okay, so these are things that you could do, but if you aren't reading, it is a great way to improve your vocabulary and see grammar. Okay, Shivan. Shivan, nice to see you here. Sorry if I mispronounced your name. One big mistake, I'm not connecting clearly live. Chat, I watch your other video live chat. Okay, you are live and thank you for joining. See if there's any other related questions. Namaste. Namaste to those watching from India, and happy Diwali for those who have celebrated, or I'm not too sure if you're still celebrating. Wishing you all the best. Okay, excellent. Let's see. Speaking. Okay, so techie things, I am going up. There's a lot of fears here. Guys, I would like to reiterate that a lot of the fears and a lot of these limitations and restrictions stopping you from speaking confidently in English can be changed. Please do use these 7 tips I have gone through. Also remember, I have talked about this a lot in the past to be consistent with your learning. There was one comment which came through that said, okay, but you should be reading, you should be writing, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. Yes, you should be doing everything, but you shouldn't just be focusing on building your vocabulary. If you don't know grammar, you shouldn't just be listening. If you should be reading a little bit more. So please do be working on all areas so that you can also read and speak, at the same level. It's really strange if you get to that situation where you can speak, but you can't write in a language, or you have a fear of writing and somebody's like, but if you have to write an email and then you're like, I'm scared about this, that, etc. So do be building and working on all areas. Bom dia to those watching in Brazil. Thank you for joining. Okay. Okay, so I have a question here from Mustafa Albini. Excuse me. So Mustafa says, hey, hi, Adriana. I'd like to ask you now how we can reduce or even stop translating from English to our mother tongue, as I believe this is what reduces our fluency. Okay, I have made a whole video lesson on this, Mustafa. search for it on my YouTube channel. But basically immersing yourself in English, and when you are learning English, only learn using the English language. So in all of my lessons, I do speak Croatian fluently, but I never teach, even when I'm working with Croatian or other people from the Balkan region, I never do speak in Croatian. For this reason, the best way to learn English is using English, especially if you are able to understand 60 to 80% of this video. But also there are tips I did share in that video lesson, so please do watch it. Okay, so one last question and I will finish up this live stream. Sometimes I'm speaking in front of people in English and at that time the words don't come to my mind. Is there a solution for this problem? Reza GH, you're not using the words enough. So basically, if you're struggling to speak in English, especially with loss of words, you're not speaking enough in English. Also, maybe those words, you haven't seen them enough or heard them enough or used them enough. So try to make them more a part of your daily life. You could do this by writing sentences. So those new words, create sentences, record yourself saying these sentences, and simply keep using your English. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for joining. There are some video lessons here on this channel you can watch. They do answer a lot of your questions here. Remember, friends, if you do like this video lesson, please do hit that like button. If you didn't find this lesson useful at all, please hit that dislike button. Great feedback for me to know. Also, remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on notifications for the next lesson that I'll post here. And I will be in the comments below this video answering any questions that you may have. Thanks for watching, thanks for being here, and see you in the comments below. Bye for now.